We dispatched a couple of actions in the last lecture. Now I want to make sure that in every place in the application where we actually fetch the state, that we do this from ngrx and not from this auth service. For example, the auth guard here. Here we also get the auth service and we check if the user is authenticated here. Well, no need to do this. We don't need to inject the auth service here. We rather inject the store of type store still to be imported from ngrx store. Now I don't need to import the auth service, but I need to import the application state. So I'll import this from app and now from my application wide store folder where I have my app reducers, because this still is the type of my state, which is stored by the store. So from app state is still the state our store will eventually yield. Now with this we can use select, and here for can activate we are allowed to return an observable which resolves to a boolean in the end, but we can map this. So here I can simply say this store select, and I want to select auth here. Now again, this would not yield us a boolean in the end though, but that's no issue. I can simply map something here, get my auth state, which will be of type, well, auth state. So I can import this as from auth from the store file in the auth folders and there from the auth reducers file. And now I can set this as a type here, from auth state. This is the state I will eventually get here. And now I can map it to a boolean by simply returning auth state authenticated, which is a boolean. And now this can activate method returns an observable where I map the value to a value we can use to a boolean by extracting it from the state we receive. So this guard should work now. Before I check this, let me fix the other places of the application though. For example, if we scroll to the shared folder, here, our auth interceptor, where I do get the token to append it to every request we send. We do this through the auth service. Now, just as before, this won't work anymore. So let's inject our store instead. Import store from ngrx store. And as before, we should import our application-wide state. So as from app, from the application-wide app reducers file, this will still be our state here. So from app state, this is our constructor. And I also want to import the auth state. So import as from auth store auth reducers, because this is what I'll actually get when selecting the auth slice. And just as before, I need to get the token here to return my handle with the token. Here, however, we have a little issue. In the past, we could get our token synchronously. Now we get it asynchronously because selecting a slice of our state yields us an observable, and that is an asynchronous object. It's no issue though, because in the intercept method, we eventually just have to return an observable. So right now we do this by returning next handle right away, but we can also chain some observables here to conveniently, well, get what we need in the end. So here I could also return this store select and then the auth slice. And now of course I need to map this just as before. I'll take care about next handle later. Here I'll then get my auth state, which is of type from auth state. And I want to map this into next handle, which I'll eventually return. So here I will return next handle. The copied request now can get created in the map function, because there we will have access to the auth state. We get it at this point of time. So here I can now simply select auth state token. I have to turn map to switch map though, because otherwise it will return an observable and wrap it into a new observable By using switch map, it won't wrap the return value in a new observable, but instead simply use the return value, which already is an observable. So that's why we use switch map. To use switch map, I need to unlock it by importing rxjs add operator switch map. So with that, we can use that operator on an observable. And again, in this case here, we select the slice, we get the off state, which is an observable. We execute switch map on it to extract the value of the observable, which will be our authentication status. We then clone the request and assign the token, which we here can access synchronously because we're inside the observable handler. And then we return a new observable, which takes advantage of this new request. And now we got rid of the off service here too. Now let's see if this works or if we're using this off service somewhere else in the application. This seems to work. Now let's try logging in. This seems to work. Now let's try fetching the values once I deleted a recipe here. Fetch data. Well, we got an error here, so the token is not appended correctly. Let's see why this didn't work. Off equals null is the issue. The problem probably is not that we can't fetch the token, but that we somehow never set it. So let's see why this doesn't work in the next lecture.